Hey everyone, it's Wednesday. I'm going to wait a few minutes for people to jump on. I hope you guys are all having a good week. I'm excited to be here. We're going to be talking about you and your ego. And is your ego standing in the way of your hiring in your cleaning business? That's the question. That is the question. So, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Cheryl Hager. I am the founder of Sisters Who Scale. I help cleaning business owners fix their hiring problems, fix their managing problems, learn how to charge what they're worth, learn how to increase their prices, attract the right clients, and scale their cleaning businesses. And most importantly, stop cleaning yourself. Because as an owner of the company, you have way too much to do than clean houses every day. So, tonight's training might rip the Band-Aid off a little bit. For years, I thought my problem in my own cleaning business is I couldn't find good people. Turns out my problem was I couldn't stand watching someone doing it different than I did and still get it right. I used to stand behind my cleaners and watch them fold a towel wrong, like there's a right way and a wrong way to fold a towel, right? Like I only knew the right way to do it. So instead of saying anything, I'd wait till they left the room and then I would fix it every single time because I told myself I was being thorough. I wanted it to be done the right way, right? Every single time. I wasn't being thorough. I was my cat's meowing. Can you hear her? I was being an ego. I was letting my ego come through within my business. That's not a hiring problem. I built that. That was a me problem. And it took me a long time to admit that. So I'm excited tonight to talk about this because it's a topic that took me years to figure out myself. And I feel like this training could speak to people that really need to hear it because it's a very down to the bottom truth type of training. So when you saw the title, you don't have a hiring problem, you have an ego problem. Maybe some of you thought, well, that's a little harsh, right? But before you clicked away or decide, I'm talking about someone who's arrogant or full of themselves, let me explain what I mean. So this isn't about having a big head. This isn't about thinking you're better than anyone else, right? In fact, most cleaning business owners struggle with the exact opposite. You're humble, you're hardworking, you're willing to do whatever it takes for clients. I do the same thing, but here's the problem. Somewhere along the way, many of us begin believing that because we care the most, work the hardest, or clean the best, we have to carry everything ourselves. We convince ourselves that no one can do it as well as we can, and we tell ourselves we're just trying to help to make the experience better for the client. We say we're protecting the reputation. We say we're making sure that the client has no complaints and they're happy. What we don't realize is in those thoughts, they often have nothing to do with protecting the business. They're about protecting our identity. And for years, I told everyone I had a hiring problem. I was just like some of you. I'd be like, nobody wants to work. I can't find anyone motivated, blah, blah, blah. I am so sick of hearing that. I have staff that show up every day, that fight for hours. Why does that happen to me, but it's not happening to you? We're going to fix that, okay? I blamed Indeed. I blamed Facebook. I blamed the labor market. I blamed the younger generation. I blamed unemployment. I blamed the fact that nobody wants to work anymore. I blamed everything I could think of. And every time someone quit, I would throw my hands up and I would say, see, I knew it. Good employees don't exist. So I was creating this whole bottleneck for myself. And I honestly believed that that was my reality. But one day I had to ask myself something really uncomfortable. If I hired dozens and dozens of people over the years and every single one of them seemed to fail, what's the common denominator? It wasn't them. It was me. And that's a hard pill to swallow. So don't understand me. There are bad employees, right? There are people that don't show up, don't care. They steal, they lie, they have terrible work ethics. They exist. I'm not saying that they're not out there because they are. But what I'm saying is this. If every employee struggles under your leadership, eventually you have to stop looking across the table and start looking in the mirror. And that realization will completely change your business like it did mine. So when I first started my company, Made Bright, I thought being the hardest worker in the room made me a great leader. I could clean circles around everyone. I knew exactly how I wanted every bathroom cleaned, how the beds should be staged, how the kitchen should be finished, and every vacuum line perfectly straight. That's an obsessive compulsive thing. And because I knew how to do it, I convinced myself that it was my job to jump in every single time when it wasn't done the way I wanted. If someone cleaned a shower differently than I would redo it. That's crazy. If someone folded towels differently, I'd fix them. If someone vacuumed slower than me, I'd grab the vacuum and finish it. If someone asked me a question, I would answer it before they even had a chance to think it through themselves. And at the time, I honestly believed I was being a good owner. I thought I was helping. I thought I was teaching. I thought I was protecting the client experience. Looking back now, I wasn't building employees. I was building dependence on me. So every time I stepped in to save the day, I stole an opportunity from someone else to grow. So I never allowed people to struggle long enough to figure things out. I never allowed them to build confidence because I was always standing there to jump in with the answer. I didn't trust them enough to be great. And because they didn't trust them, they never trusted themselves. Think about that for a minute. How many times have you told yourself, I'll just do it because it's faster? How many times have you stayed late fixing work instead of coaching someone on how to do it correctly? All right. How many times have you answered the same question over and over because it's easier than teaching someone than how to make the decision on their own? I used to wear that badge like an honor. I thought being needed made me valuable. And I thought if everyone came to me with every problem, it was meant I was a great leader. The reality, it meant I had built a business where no one could function without me. And I know exactly what you're thinking. You could be thinking, if I don't jump in, the client will be happy. And I used to tell myself the same thing, but here's the truth. Your business will never grow beyond the level of leadership you're willing to develop. I'm telling you right now, you cannot build $1 million business if every decision, every client issue, every schedule change, every training question, every quality check, and every emergency comes through you. You will burn out. And at some point, your business will stop having a hiring problem. You're going to get stuck in a bottleneck. You're going to be burned out and you're going to want to quit. So that's what we're talking about today. Let me jump in and see who's on here. Hi, Karina. How are you? How are you? Some people are watching on, if you're watching for the first time or the 30th time, say hi. Let me know you're on, right? Say hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. Let's see if that goes through. All right. So let's get into this. So I know some of you are probably thinking, okay, I hear what you're saying, but I really do have a hiring problem. And maybe you do. I'm certainly not saying there aren't bad employees out there. I've hired people that didn't show up, didn't care, simply weren't the right fit. Those people exist. They absolutely do. But before we put the blame on the labor market, I want you to ask yourself a few honest questions. So when someone new starts working for you, do you already expect them to fail? Do you find yourself watching every move they make, almost waiting for them to miss something? Have you ever walked into a bathroom after an employee cleaned it and immediately started wiping things down because it wasn't done exactly how you would have done it? Really, if you have done this, write in the chat OCD, because I want to see if this could potentially be you, right? I did this as well. And at the time, I thought I was protecting my business. I told myself maintaining quality and making sure clients receive the service they expected. Okay. Looking back now, I realized I wasn't building great employees. I wasn't helping them. I was building employees who depended on me, which means I was still going to be needed every single part of the day. Every time I stepped in to fix something, I took away an opportunity for someone else to learn and someone else to grow. All right. Every time I answered a question, before they had a chance to come up with their own answer. I was unintentionally teaching them that Cheryl was the person to go to get all the answers, that they stopped trusting themselves to make, simple decisions. I'm not saying they're making crazy decisions in the field, but they're making simple decisions. Start in this room first, or the husband's on a Zoom, or, whatever, right? It could be anything. Could be anything. So I kept going home frustrated because no one seemed to take ownership, because I wasn't letting them take ownership. And I couldn't understand why no one showed initiative and thought for themselves, because I was strangling them, right? And eventually I had to face the truth that the problem was me. I wanted employees to act like leaders, but I wasn't teaching them how to lead. All right. So I wanted people to solve problems, but they were still always coming to me. My phone I wanted to throw it in the ocean because it would go off all the time. I just felt like I could never step away from my business because everyone needed me, because I built it that way, right? I wanted the ownership, but I rescued everyone the moment a problem arrived. Now, can you see where I'm coming from here? Can you see that contradiction? So I was asking my team to become something that I wasn't allowing them to actually become. So the biggest lie I told myself is if I didn't step in, everything was going to fall apart. It sounded responsible. It sounded like I cared deeply about my clients and my business. I did. But underneath that belief was something I couldn't see at that time. I didn't just have high standards. I thought I was protecting the business, but what I was really doing wrong is I was making sure that the business could not function without me. And the ironic part about this whole thing is the more I stepped in, the more my employees relied on me. The more they relied on me, the more I believed they couldn't do anything without me. So it was like this hamster wheel circle, this cycle that I couldn't get out of, that I had created myself. And I didn't even realize it at the time that I had created that myself. So when I finally figured out why I couldn't keep people, right, I had to change some things. I had to change the way I looked at leadership. So a hero runs into a fire. Okay, think about these things for a second. A hero is going to run into a fire to go to rescue someone. A leader teaches people how to prevent fires, so there's no fire and I don't have to go rescue anyone. A hero will solve every problem. A leader develops problem solvers. So what happens when you teach your staff how to solve problems in the field, you're not needed as much and you can breathe. You can breathe. Simple things. I'm not talking about big things. I'm talking about simple things, right? So a hero becomes absolutely exhausted because everyone depends on them. A leader builds people who can confidently carry out the mission without them. So for years, I thought I needed to be the hero in my business. And in the beginning, it felt good. I felt wanted. I felt needed. I felt like I was making decisions. I wore that role like a badge of honor. But one day I realized something that hit me like a ton of bricks. If every client issue, every employee question, every scheduling problem, every quality concern, every decision has to come through Cheryl, then Cheryl wasn't the solution anymore. She had become the bottleneck. Everything had to go through me, right? And that's the moment I stopped asking, why can't I find better employees? And I started asking myself a much better question. I said, what kind of leader do I need to become so ordinary people can become extraordinary? Right? That question changed everything. So let's talk about why it's happening. Hi, Bright Power Wash. Let's talk about why that's happening. I don't think most business owners wake up one day and decide they're going to micromanage their employees. In fact, I think it's the opposite, right? We generally believe we're doing what's best for the business. We tell ourselves we're protecting our clients, maintaining that quality, and making sure everything gets done the right way. The problem is that somewhere along the way, our identity becomes tied to being the person who always has the answer. Think about how most of us started. We didn't become business owners because we were great leaders. We became business owners because we were great cleaners, right? We worked harder than everyone else, cared more than everyone else, built our reputation one client at a time. That mindset is exactly what helped us build the business, but it's not going to help you scale it. So there comes a point where your value is no longer found in being the best cleaner on your team. Your value is found in building people who can succeed without you. And sometimes that's a hard pill to swallow. That's difficult. It's a difficult shift because being needed feels good. It feels good when everyone calls you with every question. It feels good when you're the one who solves every problem. It makes you feel important. Just admit it. It makes you feel important. So looking back, I realized that I had become addicted to being this hero figure. Every time I stepped in to fix someone's work, answer every question, or solve every problem, I thought I was helping. What I was really doing is teaching my team that they didn't have to think, because Cheryl was always going to step in and solve the problems, right? So the hardest lesson I learned was that I wasn't protecting my standards, I was protecting my comfort zone. It was easier for me to do it myself than to patiently coach someone through the learning process. But great leaders need to understand something, and I had to learn the hard way. People don't grow because we rescue them. They grow because we give them the opportunity to struggle, learn, and improve. So think about when you teach your child to ride a bike. If you never let go of the seat because you're afraid they're going to fall, they're never going to learn to ride. Your employees are no different. If you never let them make decisions, solve problems, or learn from their mistakes, they're never going to develop the confidence you're hoping they'll have to lead so you can take a break. So that realization for me changed everything. So I stopped asking, why can't I find better employees? And I started asking, what kind of leader do I need to become so that these people can become great, right? That's the big question. And when I started asking that question for myself, everything changed. And that's when my business, actually became to start growing. So let's talk about what great leaders are doing, okay? So if you're thinking there saying, I see myself in everything you're saying, now what? I want you to know something. This isn't about beating yourself up. I don't want you leaving this training feeling guilty, feeling bad about yourself. I want you leaving this training with hope. Because the good news, and it's always good news, is if you've been the bottleneck in your business, you can also become the breakthrough. Leadership is a skill. Like every other skill, it can be learned. None of us are born with leadership skills out of the womb, right? But that first shift starts with changing the question you're asking yourself. So instead of asking yourself, how can I get better employees? Start asking, how do I become a better leader? Those are two completely different questions. And they're going to take you in two completely different directions. The first one puts all the responsibility on everyone else to perform. The second one puts all the responsibility back where it belongs on the one thing that you can actually control, and that's yourself. So the second shift is learning to stop expecting people to perform like veterans when they're still beginners. They don't clean fast. They don't get this. They don't do that. They haven't been doing it for 17 years like you have, right? This one was huge for me. I used to compare every new employee to myself with years of experience. Of course, no one's going to match up to that standard out of the gate, right? They couldn't clean like I could as fast as I could. They couldn't get through a kitchen like I could and have it shiny and sparkly and no crumbs and anything like that, right? The truth is we don't hire experienced versions of ourselves. We have to develop them. And great leaders stop asking, why aren't they more like me? And start asking, how can I help them become the best version of themselves? I look at every single one of my cleaners. They all have something different they bring to the table. My team leaders, some are great communicators. Some are better in showing visually, right? Some are great. Well, all of them are great trainers, but they all have different personalities and they train in a certain way. So there's a difference, right? I'm not going to make them all be like me. I'm going to bring out the best strengths in them. So one of the biggest changes I made was resisting the urge to immediately jump in and rescue every situation like I told you, right? So that doesn't mean you ignore the problems. It means you want to pause long enough to ask yourself, is this something I need to solve? Or is this an opportunity for someone else to grow? So sometimes the greatest leadership decision you can make is giving someone the chance to think it through themselves and make a decision before you hand them the answer, right? You definitely don't want to do that. So as owners, we tend to see mistakes as something to eliminate immediately. And so great owners see mistakes as an opportunity to coach and an opportunity to train. That doesn't mean you're lowering your standards or you're tolerating poor performance. It means you stop expecting growth without a learning process. If you want to get to $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 months, there's a big growth process there. There's a big learning process for yourself, for your staff. And a lot of owners think that, they're going to go from $10,000 to $50,000 in a snap like that. It doesn't happen without walking through the quicksand, right? It doesn't happen. There's a lot to learn here, right? So I want you to remember that your goal is not to build a business where everyone depends on you. Your goal is to build a business where your team becomes confident in enough so they don't have to need you every day. That's where the freedom comes. That's how the freedom happens. That's what scaling looks like. It's not about you working harder. I know how hard all of you work because I remember. I still work hard, but I work hard in a different capacity now. I'm no longer cleaning. I haven't cleaned in, 7 years, a while, a long time. So you can only scale when you have the freedom to scale. You cannot scale if you're still cleaning Monday through Friday. You're going to hit a cap. You're going to be exhausted. It's not about working harder. It's about building people and your team who can carry out that mission with you, right? So I know some of you are probably thinking or wondering, okay, great, all sounds good, but how do I actually do that? How do I build leaders? How do I build accountability? How do I know when to step back, right? And how do I know when to teach people, when to coach people without micromanaging them? It's instinctual to want to micromanage them, and they can feel when you're micromanaging them. And sometimes people will quit when they're micromanaged, right? So those are the right questions, and the truth is they aren't questions I can answer in a single 30-minute live. Okay, so that's why we spend months working. When I work with people, I work inside Drop Them Up, my signature program, my 6-month program. They give you all the fundamentals. We don't just talk about leadership, we build it, but we start it from the ground up. We start it from the foundation level. I help owners create systems, develop confident team members, because that's going to give you your freedom, and learn how to teach and coach instead of control and micromanage. And I help you build a business that no longer depends on you being involved in every single decision, because that's going to burn you out, right? That's going to burn you out. So here's what I know to be true. Your business will never outgrow your leadership. Your leadership has to grow first. You can hire better people. You can buy better software. You can outsource your scheduling. You can improve your marketing. You can hire a social media person, right? And still hit that same ceiling over and over and over again, because the key to scaling your business is your people. So the day you stop trying to be the hero of your business and go in and rescue that person from the fire is the day you finally are going to give yourself permission to build leaders where you can step back. And that's where the real scaling begins. Is that making sense? Hi, Allison. How are you? Oh, hi, Karina. Thank you. Thank you, honey. It's true, though, right? It's true. I was where all of you are at. So I'm speaking from, where am I? I'm preaching from the choir, right? Allison, I think you just friended me today. Hello, welcome. This is the Sisters Who Scale YouTube channel. I go live every Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with a different topic on the cleaning industry. Tell me more about you. Tell me more about you. So as we wrap up today, I'm going to leave you with one final thought. When I first started my business, I truly believed that my biggest challenge was finding better employees. I spent years looking outside myself for the answer. I blamed the hiring market, the economy, the fact that no one wanted to work. Every time someone quit, I took it as proof that hiring great people was impossible, and I gave into that terrible thought process. But the biggest breakthrough didn't happen when I finally found the perfect employee. It happened when I became a better leader. All of a sudden, better employees started getting attracted to me, right? So here's what I've learned after building an almost $1 million cleaning business from scratch with no Google ads. By the way, my company has been built 100% organically. Great companies are rarely built by great employees alone. They're built by leaders who know how to develop ordinary people into extraordinary team members. Every employee you've ever admired was once brand new. They didn't walk through the door knowing everything. Someone believed in them, someone coached them, someone challenged them, and gave them room to grow. That's what real leadership looks like. So that doesn't mean every employee is going to work out. They're not going to all work out, right? Some people just aren't the right fit for this job. This is a hard job, and no amount of coaching can ever change that. Your leadership isn't about keeping everyone. It's about keeping people and giving people a genuine opportunity to succeed before deciding that they can't. There's a big difference between someone who isn't willing to grow and someone who simply hasn't been led down the right path yet. So I also want you to remember that leadership doesn't mean lowering your standards. I have high standards. I hope you do too. Your clients deserve excellence. They all do. Your business deserves excellence, but excellence isn't controlled by your every move that your employees make. It's controlled by creating clear expectations, coaching consistently. I coach every day in my business, in my maid business. I coach you guys, and then I coach every day in my business with my team leaders. I was coaching this morning, right? I was coaching this morning. You have to learn how to give people the opportunity to become confident in their own abilities and their own role. So that's why I chose the title for today's training. You don't have a hiring problem, you have an ego problem. Not because I think you're arrogant, because many of us unknowingly tie our value to being the person everyone depends on. Our ego quietly tells us, no one can do it like I can, right? And it tells us, I'll just do it myself. It convinces us that the business can't function without us. It sounds responsible, but in reality, it's often the very thing that's keeping us from growing. So the goal isn't to become less involved because you care less. The goal is to become less involved because you've developed people who care just as much as you do. And that is what leadership is all about. So this week, I want to challenge everyone, if whether you're watching this on replay or in person, I want to challenge everyone on the call to do something different. The next time an employee comes to you with a question, don't give them the answer. Don't immediately give them the answer. Ask them what they think first. The next time you're tempted to jump in and rescue someone and give someone the answer, pause for a second and ask yourself, am I helping this person grow, or am I just making myself feel useful? Right? And the next time you catch yourself saying, no one can do it like I can, remind yourself maybe they can't yet. Great leaders don't expect perfection. They develop potential. It is your job to recognize potential in people. So if this training is resonating with you today and you're realizing that you've become the bottleneck in your business, which most of us, that happens, right? I want you to know you don't need to stay there. Inside Drop Them Up and Scale, my accelerator program, this is exactly what we work on. We spend 6 months helping cleaning business transition from owner, operator, which is where everyone starts, to leader, from firefighter to coach, and from being the center of every decision to building a business that can truly grow not depending on them every minute of the day. So that's where we dive into that. How do you do that? Today, I want to help you recognize the problem and see, is this happening, right? Inside my program, I help you solve it. So I'll leave you with this. Your business isn't asking you to become a better cleaner anymore. It's asking you to become a better leader. So those are two very different jobs. Our hero can build a business, but a team of heroes can build an empire. So your job is no longer to be the hero in every situation. Your job is to build heroes, to solve problems, to solve fires, right? So is this making sense, everyone? Hi, Pia. Oh, you're welcome. Allison, I'm a solo cleaner business owner working on my 4th year. I've still yet to find employees. My thoughts are exactly how you've explained. Exactly. I know where you're at. Where are you from, Allison? I know exactly where you're at. Pia says, we really appreciate your generosity and support. Pia helps me, and she's offering to send you different trainings. So if anyone would like different trainings, by all means, say yes. We'll send them along. I hope this was helpful. Thank you for spending your Wednesday with me if you were live with me. If today's training challenged you thinking about hiring and leadership, I would love to hear your biggest takeaways from the training. Leave me a comment. I read every single one. And if you know another cleaning business owner who needs this message as well, share the training with them. If you like what you heard tonight, I go live every Wednesday with a different topic in the cleaning industry, whether it be pricing, managing, strategy, mindset. Hit that subscribe button, show me some love, and you'll get notified every time I go live. So hopefully I will see you all next week. I got a couple of Maids Who Made It podcast episodes coming up soon. I hope you'll join me next Wednesday. And until then, keep growing, keep leading, keep believing in yourself. And remember, your business will only grow to the next level that you're willing to grow as a leader. All right. And I will see everyone next week. Hi, Alexi. How are you? Thank you. Oh, California. California. I've worked with a few people from California. Feel free to connect with me over DM. I'm very accessible. All right, everyone. Have an amazing evening. Happy Wednesday. Hump day is pretty much over. Have a great day tomorrow. We'll see you soon.